Hello, everybody. All right, so we're here on Thursday. Going to give people a chance to, of course, come in. Hopefully, everybody's having a good week thus far. Let's see, let me just real quick. Give people a chance to, of course, come in and get in and all that. As always, guys, if you can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we get some more friendly people in here. That'd be great. Also, if anything we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Let's see. Hong Kong Fooey, number one super guy. Hong Kong Fooey, quicker than the human eye. Chicka chong, chicka chong, chicka wong wong wong. Hong Kong Fooey, you're terrific. Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm strong to the finish, 'cause I eat my spinach. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. Casper, the friendly ghost, the friendliest ghost you know. He laughs and plays, sings and dances all day. On the bean, that's Yogi Bear. Hmm. Let's see. When Captain America throws his mighty shield, all those who oppose his shield must yield. In the red and the white and the blue it comes true when Captain America throws his mighty shield. Tony Stark makes you feel he's a cool exec with the hottest wheel. As Iron Man, all jets of flame, he fights and fights with repulsor rays. Amazing power, it's Iron Man. Amazing power, it's Iron Man. Doc Bruce Banner, belted by gamma rays, turned into Hulk. Ain't he just gallantly wrecking the town with the powerful? You know, ain't so much who isn't lovable. The ever loving Hulk, Hulk, Hulk. Let's see. Cross the rainbow bridge of Asgard, where the blue means heaven's roar. And behold, incredulous wonder, the god of thunder, mighty Thor. Stronger than a whale, he can swim anywhere, and breathe underwater and go flying through the air. Noble submariner, prince of the deep, so beware deadly demons. Lord Namor of Atlantis is the Prince of the Deep. All right, so we're now up past 4 minutes here. So, all right, so here's what's on tap for tonight. Of course, it's our weekly look at Leading Fools Indie Comics Showcase. I'm going to go over, of course, the article, maybe give some commentary, and then, of course, from there, we'll do the wrestling wrap up and then This Day in Each History. With all that being said, why don't we go ahead and get started then? Alrighty then, so everything's set up now. Alright, so let's get going here then. Alright, so Indie Comic Showcase number 243, Samson, Sledge, and the Ultimate Crusader. Now, there was a comic called Samson back in the 40s. It was in Fantastic Comics from Fox Publications as well. I don't know if that's this right here, somebody else's variation, but anyways, let's go ahead and get going here. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, the weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just simply self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle. And of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the project for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. The Ultimate Crusaders, number 2 by Justice Wright. Okay, and then we'll go grab the link first off so we can put that in for you guys to. All right, so this looks like it's I think it's an Indiegogo, I believe. Or no, Kickstarter. This is Kickstarter. Oh, a Kickstarter campaign. Okay, so if you guys would like to, if you guys want to check this campaign out, here is the link to it. It's from Kickstarter, obviously. If you guys want to check that out, there's the link. All right, so let's get into the interview here. Let's see, Chris Braley. Welcome back to Indie Comic Showcase Justice. Get our readers caught up with the Ultimate Crusaders. Justice Wright. The epic saga continues in The Ultimate Crusaders, Chapter 2. After the blackened spies failed to retrieve the forge from our heroes, the ruthless leader, Lord Reese, orders an all-out assault on Earth to take it by force. Meanwhile, Orion and Claire reluctantly befriend a Crusader soldier named Kulian, who has come to take the forge and hopefully turn the tide of the war. However, once the Blackened lay siege on Earth and destroy Kulian's ship, the only way to escape is to fight their way out by using Orion's latest creation, the Commando. Chris, tell me the genesis of this series, Justice. I was always a fan of sci-fi shows and mecha like Ben 10, Codename Kids Next Door, and Symbionic Titan in the late 2000s, early 2010s. So I wanted to make something that felt like it could fit well into that era of cartoons, while also attempting to inspire people with my writing like those shows inspired me when I was young. There were many setbacks, naturally, with rejected pitches and canceled publishing deals, but this was something that I always wanted to do ever since I was in college, and I finally managed to do it via self-publishing back in 2022 with the Ultimate Crusaders issue number 1 I hope that when people read my stories, that they can be just as entertained as I was a kid, and hopefully strive to become the best selves because of them. Ultimate Crusaders. If anybody's here yet. Nope. All right. Commenting anyways. Chris, what sort of comic reader is this best suited for? Who is it aimed at? Uh, Justice. The Ultimate Crusaders is best suited for those aged 10 plus with mild violence and are fans of science fiction movies, cartoons, mecha anime. Chris, how would you describe your style and creative process? Justice, since it's hard to really nail down a distinct style similar to that era, I do a lot of research and rewatches on what made those shows so appealing to me in the first place. Then I take several notes from them and try to replicate that style in my writing as well. It takes a lot of rewrites to get it how I want, but the end result is something that I believe speaks for itself. Puts a lot of time and effort into this, and hmm. Chris, introduce me to your creative team. Justice, as I said before, I wanted to make something that fit the era of the late 2000s, early 2010s. This was back when cartoons were just getting into the story focused but still visually distinct type of writing. So I wanted to find someone that could fit that kind of style, namely something that looked like it was ripped right out of a television screen. Fortunately, I found just the right people for the job after months of searches. With the first book being drawn by Dominique Oziren Omoruke, um, and now, for the second issue, I've taken on a new professional artist named Mauricio Caballero that both do exceptional work. Hmm. As the writer, how do you like to produce a comic book? Chris asks. Justice responds, normally, after finishing up a script and sending it to an artist, I like to have them experiment with different pages, drafts, to get a good sense of what would look the most appealing in a comic like ours. So I usually give the artist leeway and give them more freedom to have their talent shine. For now, we're in the early stages of the bookmaking process, with 10 pages out of 34 completed. But if we hit our $5,000 goal, I'll make our it'll make our progress much faster and streamlined to ensure we make the first best book possible for each release. I guess he had yeah, so this is more like a series. Chris, since you're not new to the self-publishing crowdfunding genre or game, um Share what you've been learning through the process. Justice. It's definitely been an experience doing everything by myself. I had to learn quite a few things before actually attempting to crowdfund my first book. But for what it's worth, I was definitely the right call in my position. Um, since the freedom to write whatever I want is really exhilarating for me as a writer, also preparing the printing process and actually having my book in my hands is really a dream come true. Chris, what are your plans beyond this campaign? Justice. After the second issue is finished, I plan to branch off into more adult oriented stories in the Kickstarter campaign page. You can find another project that we're doing called Tales of the Witch Hunters, which is a steampunk fantasy story that revolves around four legendary witch hunters who protect the innocent from the deadly and malicious forces that use magic for evil. Unlike the Ultimate Crusaders, this book will be a lot more gory and crude, but will have the same attitude of inspiring people to become better than they are. All right. Chris, how has the campaign been going? Are there any special perks? Justice? Yes. If people would like to purchase the first issue, we have the book included in our campaign, along with the limited catch up edition that includes character stickers and an 11 by 17 poster. Backers can also get our exclusive t shirt and more stickers as add ons. And if we hit our $10,000 stretch goal, we will extend the Ultimate Crusaders into a 68-page graphic novel with two chapters instead of only one. Thanks for letting us know about it, Justice. Before we wrap this up, is there anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? Justice. I'd like to thank Bleeding Fool for showcasing our comic book and all backers who believe in our project enough to donate their hard earned money to our books. I cannot thank you enough, as if you would like, also, if you would like to back our comic, but do not want to use Kickstarter for any reason, we are also live on Indiegogo as well. Well, we got two sources he's utilizing. So. All right, so that's I guess it. So now the next book here is Sledge by Carrie Chug. Let's see what we get. What happens with that one? Sledge by Carrie Chug, and before, of course, we get into the interview here, let's go grab the link. Right, so this campaign's apparently an Indie Planet campaign. I believe Metal has talked about that particular site before. So here's the link to Sledge if you guys want to go check that out after we've read the of course we've read the interview here. Anyway. All right, so let's get going here. Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase. Carrie, tell our readers what Sledge is all about. Carrie Chug, Carl Eisenberg finds new purpose after a stint as a techno criminal, as essentially a city bouncer. Think poor man's Iron Man, artificial Superman, gadget enhanced Batman, or Peter Parker, unable to get the spider bite, so he called Charles Atlas. The comic is aimed at a teen and young adult audience. Actually answering a question that he would have probably ended up asking even before he asked it. Okay, so Chris. Sounds interesting. Where did the idea come from? Carrie? It all started with ideas I heard from a science teacher after potential flight technology combined with my love of the powerhouse crime fighter with combat training. Hence, my hired artist being inspired Alan Richson's Reacher. Chris, tell me a little about your creative process, Carrie. Let's see, Carrie. I go for the urban crime scenario. Um, I start with mentally figuring out the basic premise. Then once I figure out the resolution, the key action beats, then figure out the best possible transition scenes, and we'll figure out the best way the characters will react to, or be defined by the events. The events. Then I will write the script. Lately, I have been talking to my current artist, which he could work best from. Um, a full script or a script with paragraphs that he could make single panels. Um, out of combine paragraphs into one panel and split paragraphs into multiple panels, or split paragraphs into multiple panels. Um, Giving him more freedom to illustrate based on what he can work best with. Hmm. Ah, I have a third person. If you guys haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will do the best I can to answer those questions. Anyways, who's your creative team? Chris asks, and then Carrie responds. Part one was written by me, illustrated by John Rawson, and lettered by Matthias Zanetti. Part two was written by me, pages 1 through 11, illustrated by John Rawson, cover and pages 12 to 22 by Thiago Pereira dos Santos, and lettered by Josh. Part three in production is again written and lettered by me and getting illustrated by Thiago Pereira dos Santos. Chris asks, is the book done? Carrie responds, parts 1 and 2 have been published. Part 3 has about 3 pages that need to be completed. Okay, so Chris then asks, tell me about your experience doing print on demand sales. Do you prefer it to crowdfunding? Carrie, print on demand carries challenge of having to pay a lot to sell physical copies from high volume orders. Buyers have to pay a lot for shipping for physical copies, but less for digital downloads. I've yet to dip my toes into Kickstarter, but if I do, I will step away from print on demand. Let's see. Chris, are there more stories to tell in this universe? Carrie, I have in mind to keep an ongoing series, okay, with several scripts written, developing Carl Eisenberg further with his background as a kid who got bullied in junior high and dipped into crime in high school. Good luck. And then Chris responds, "Good luck, Carrie. Keep us up to date on your next issue." Now, Samson by Ben Lacey. Now, of course, Samson also, Samson's of course a biblical hero from the Bible, but he's also, there actually was a comic called Samson, or a feature called Samson, back in the Golden Age, back in the late 30s. There, it's part of Fantastic Comics for Fox Feature Syndicate. Wonder what this one is right here, but I'll get to it in a moment. Let's see. Samson by Ben Lacey. And of course, before we get into the interview, we will go ahead and hit up the campaign, get the link for that. And it looks like it's another Kickstarter campaign. So if you guys want to check it out, I'll put the link up in a moment here. So if you want to check this particular comic out, here's a link to that. There we go. And of course, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So let's get into this then. Chris Braley, welcome back to Indie Comic Showcase, Ben. Hit me with the elevator pitch for your latest comic project. Let's see. So, Ben Lacey, Samuel and Solomon Zucker were twins taken to Auschwitz in 1942. Nazi scientists used them as guinea pigs as part of Project Uberfuhrer. Their effort to create a super soldier. Instead, they created their greatest enemy, Samson. But now, years after the war, Samuel discovers that the original Uberfuhrer may still be alive, and that Project Uberfuhrer may be up and running again. Chris then says, "Intriguing concept, Ben. How did you come up with the idea?" And then Ben responds, "I'd always wanted to do a superhero comic, but I also wanted to do something original, yet iconic. Being Jewish myself, it occurred to me to take the very real experiments done on concentration camp prisoners and use it as a starting off point for a whole new superhero." Now, of course, as we've seen, of course, we do know that DC and Fawcett have also had kind of super soldier-esque type stories. Not DC. I'm sorry, Marvel and Fawcett. Fawcett being, of course, Captain Nazi, and then Marvel having Captain America. So, anyways, yeah. And of course, the name for such a superhero is pretty obvious, Samson. In parentheses here, the main character's last name is based on my mother's maiden name. On parentheses there. I've successfully self published 8 comic books already and hope that my existing backers will be interested in this exciting new story. Chris, what kind of comic reader is this aimed at? Ben um, responds, while there is nothing explicit in either images or the language, this does deal directly with some horrific historical events. I would say it's appropriate for teens or middle schoolers reading above grade level. Chris, as you said, this isn't your first rodeo. Tell me how you put a comic together, Ben. Ben, always try to figure out who the character is first, then I develop a story arc around them. Once I have an outline of the story, I begin to write the script with a panel by panel view of how I see each image and the dialogue. The the artist will take the script and do a thumbnail sketches of um, how he sees it. We usually iterate back and forth a few times to make sure we're both happy with the both the look and the flow of the images. I added a word in there that probably didn't need to be added, but anyways, once the inked art is done, the colorist takes over, and that also involves a couple of iterations to make sure everything has come together. No further comments yet. Let's see, Chris, who is your creative team on this book? Um, and on pencils and inks, it's Jones Boss Craneo, an indie comic artist for more than 7 years. He has worked in comic anthologies, covers, and illustrations around the world in different genres. Our colorist is Anton Polkovsky, a Ukrainian who graduated from Kryvyi Rih State Pedagogical University with a degree in fine arts. He's worked as a comic colorist for 3 years, working on titles like The Cthulhu Man, Raising Cain, Stargazers, and Tundra Dragon Rock. My letterer is Nikki Powers. She's lettered numerous independent comics and even written a few. You can find her work at a variety of independent publishers, including Scout Comics and Plastic Sword Press. And in anthologies such as Colossal Chaos, Speculative Relationships, and Cthulhu is hard to spell. She's lettered every one of my books. On covers is Toby Gottman Schneider, um, is an American expressionist painter, best known for her unique um, ability to transform objects, people, and scenes and events into jarring and provocative works of art. And also David Gallart, an illustrator with 16 years of experience, who has worked in various advertising agencies in the development of video games and a variety of comic book projects. Let's see now. That's still three, so again. Chris, that's quite a pedigreed team. What's your production workflow like? Ben, I always write a complete script. I then have the art learn team draw and letter the first 8 pages of the book, which I provide as a free Ashkin so backers can see what they're getting. The book is approximately halfway done. Chris, since you've got a lot of crowdfunding experience, tell me something you've been learning from self publishing through this process. Ben, you have to be willing to promote yourself nonstop. There are too many other options out there to just put your work out and expect to find readers. I am always sharing my work on social media, through my newsletter, and at conventions. Chris, what's next after this book is fulfilled? Ben, my hope is for this book to go at least 6 issues, telling a complete story around Samson's adventures from World War II to the present. I also continue to publish The Shark of War, issue 7, coming soon, and The Vicious Vixens of Dakawan. Oh, yeah, I think RJ recently had Ben on for that one recently. So, RJ Carter of Critical Blast. Issue 1 being printed and is being written now. Issue 2 coming soon. Chris, are there any special features on the project you'd like to mention before we wrap up? Ben, yes, I I wanted to do a cover with a Holocaust theme, but I wanted it to be respectful of the seriousness of the tragedy. When I started searching, the name that came back to me was Toby Gottman Schneier, the daughter of Auschwitz survivors. Her paintings have been featured in galleries and museums nationwide. When I looked at them, I knew I couldn't possibly commission an original piece. And then I saw she'd already made exactly what I wanted, and I was able to license her painting, Brothers in Auschwitz, as a cover. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I wonder if that's the painting right there in question. I also wanted to do a cover based on the biblical story, uh, but instead of tearing down a temple, Samson is tearing down the Brandenburg Gate, as inspired by pictures of it from World War II draped in Nazi flags. Um, since two of the villains in Samson's are based on actual Nazi doctors, there's a bonus feature in the digital edition discussing some of the real life events that inspired the story. Again, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. I dig it. Any final words for our readers? Chris asked. Ben, if you like an adult take on superheroes, or if you like such comics as Ed Brubaker's Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or Mark Millar's Jupiter's Legacy, you'll like Samson. If you go to the Kickstarter page and then we are, of course, I already put that link in the chat if you guys want to go check that out. You can read to free the Samson Ashcan, read for free the Samson Ashcan with the first 8 pages of the book. Alrighty then, so there we go with that. That's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available for purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here. And follow Indie Comics Showcase on Twitter at Indie Comics. And reach out to them for more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Until next time, support Indie Comics. And of course, I always go over the article every Thursday as well. So you guys can check it out on here too. And I share the links, of course, for those who may want to go check that out. So with that, see where are we at now? Yeah, 40 minutes. All right. So we're gonna move on to a wrestling wrap up then. So basically, we just have a couple items we'll talk about. Of course, a few items. So in WWE news, of course, Ronda Rousey recently made a post kind of indicating that she has decided to retire from MMA and pro wrestling. She posted a picture with her daughter that was believed to be their home. I guess indicating that, and in the post there, she indicated that she was enjoying retirement. Also, on this past, the young man, formerly known as Brian Pillman Jr., now going back to a name he used on the independent scene, Alexis King, recently stated that he was going to start using the Alexis King name again to try to forge his own path. Let's see. Also, there was a rumor that it was possible, according to Karrion Kross, he and Bray Wyatt were talking about doing a match for WrestleMania before, of course, Bray's untimely passing. Of course, that goes against the idea that they were looking to put Bray into a program with Bobby Lashley before he got sick. So a lot of speculation. And some other news from the Tuesday Night Wars. So apparently WWE outperformed in the ratings in AEW's Dynamite on Tuesday. With a number of the legends, including John Cena, Undertaker making appearances, as well as main roster stars LA Knight, making appearances on NXT to go up against Dynamite, which had, of course, 2 championship matches, ultimately ending up with Orange Cassidy taking on Ray Fenix for the International Championship and winning that, as well as AEW World Women's title match in which Hikaru Shida defeated Saraya to become a 3-time champion. Tony Khan, needless to say, was apparently not happy and went on a bit of a rant on social media, basically taking shots at Vince McMahon. So with that, now what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and we'll start to wind down a little further here, as we will now, today being Thursday, October 12th, 2023. Let's take a look back at this day in niche history. Let's see. 1983, 2013, and 2018. Okay. So with all that being said, let's take a look back at this day in niche history. So first off, we're going to head back 40 years ago today. As on this date, 40 years ago today, unfortunately, was the passing of Ernie Roth. Many fans would remember him best as the Grand Wizard of Wrestling, former WWE manager back in the 70s. Managed the likes of course, men like Sergeant Slaughter, Stan Stasiak, Billy. I believe he actually led Billy Graham, superstar Billy Graham, to his WWF World Heavyweight Championship. Let's see. Also, I believe he also, I think he managed Mr. Fuji and Professor Tanaka as well during at least one of their. But on this date, 40 years ago today, the Grand Wizard of Wrestling, Ernie Roth, passed away at the age of 54. It's believed he had a heart attack during one of the tapings for one of the WWF programs. I believe it was All Star Wrestling. So with that, let's move on to the next piece in each history as we move ahead to 1993. As on this date in 1993, the 125th issue of Archie's Archie's Digest magazine went on sale on this date back in 1993. It sold for $1.75, 96 pages, and had you see right there, there's quite a few stories there. So on this date back in 1993, 30 years ago today, the 125th issue of Archie's Digest magazine went on sale on this date back in 1993, 30 years ago today. So with that, as we move on to the next piece of niche history, we move ahead to 2013. As on this date in 2013, the computer animated television series Sabrina, Secrets of a Teenage Witch premiered on the Hub Network on this date 10 years ago, back in 2013. On this date 10 years ago, back in 2013, the computer animated series Sabrina, Secrets of a Teenage Witch premiered on the Hub Network. And finally, as we move on to the last piece of niche history, on this date 5 years ago today, season 2 of TNK's Senran Kagura premiered on Japanese TV back in 5 years ago today, back in 2018. So on this date, 5 years ago today, in 2018, second season of TNK's Senran Kagura premiered on Japanese TV on this date 5 years ago today. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Of course, tomorrow night we'll be doing our weekly look back through comics history. Tomorrow night, my guest co-host will be Shadowhawk from Double Flyer Momentum. We'll be looking at books that went on sale in December 1939 from Fiction House. I believe we'll be looking at Jumbo Comics Volume 1, Number 12. And among the features we'll be looking at will include Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, Word Stories of the Supernatural, and we may even hit up a comic adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.